everyone. Welcome back into the Red Earth Production Studios for another edition of YBMcast Perspective with Brian and Mitch Thomas. How you doing, Mitch?
I am good, sir.
You look good.
Man,
You're purpley.
I think orange.
Don't you know? Look, those are supposed to be orange and blue. What's with that? Come on.
You haven't got me a T-shirt yet.
Oh, there you go. Smack. My bad.
That's how it works.
That's just
right?
what it is,
Okay.
right?
I think purple and gold is a classic color, but when you mix it with the orange, and I have a lot of beard going on right now because I haven't got it cut, so I think it looks good.
Oh, we are working on some T-shirts. Just, it's kind of a good segue. I hadn't thought about it, but we are working on some T-shirts. We want to start. We've got some sayings, and some stuff, and we're going to be putting together some T-shirts for sale and stuff like that coming up. So
All right.
I'll get you one.
All right. 2X. I'm a 2X.
Double D.
Yep.
Dingers and doubles and dingers. So here we go. Today, want to always thank the guys that power YBMcast, Game 7 Baseball, Dave and Dave. Game7baseball.com. Get into your fall tournament starting real soon. I know the football season, everybody will take that little break, get their football going. But coming up there, you got your team set with your tryouts. Make sure you get into some fall ball and see what you got going on there. Also, Red Earth Productions. It's what we do around here. If you need a sports video, something of that nature, give us a call. 400-3199. That is a 636 area code. There you go. Enough of that. Let's talk baseball. We've been, and Mitch and I are monitoring the stuff and conversations that are out there. And, it's always interesting to have these conversations because I've said this, and I believe this. I believe it. I don't think you lump everybody into one bag. It's some of the problems I had with Matheny's manifesto. Parents are the problem. No, parents aren't the problem. And I hear parents say coach is the problem. No, clubs are the problem. No. Is there a problem? I don't know. Is there? What's the problems happen because people get upset about something. The game isn't the problem. The tournaments aren't the problem. This isn't the problem. What becomes at issue is when it starts dealing with our own personal view of something. Our kids, we're very protective of our kids, and little Johnny may not be as good as somebody else because in the end, what coach isn't looking for the best talent? Tell me.
At the end of the day, that's what we look for. And obviously, talent is a huge motivator when we make these teams. But some organizations aren't necessarily able to do that. We are a mid-level program over the Tribe, so we look with kids that we can develop coachability, great attitudes in the dugout with some things that are a little different. Obviously, if we can find a kid that's talented, we want him to join, but we also need to be realistic what our team is. And there's no reason to take a AAA talent and put him on a single-A team just to make that team a little bit better at the single-A level to win a tournament. That kid needs to be challenged. So go to a major, let's be honest with that kid. So talent is huge. I mean, it's obviously, I think the eye test. That kid should be on any team in the area.
Mitch sent me we were going back and forth. We watch, a lot of the travel deals on Facebook, travel groups and whatnot. A lady was expressing some concerns about putting kids on a team because the coach gets paid for more players on a team. I'm not sure. I don't go around and ask clubs how they pay their coaches. It's not my business. I don't care in that respect. I really don't. I think a coach, if they're spending their time, there are guys that volunteer. And if you can, I'm going to say this. If you can volunteer, you have the money, you have the time, volunteer, put your time in. I think that's fair. But there are young guys that are out there that are trying to make a name for themselves, doing these things and whatnot, and maybe don't have the money, but they have the talent, and having I think some of these coaches, some of these young guys go out there and they're not as motivated to help the kids as maybe they should be.
Or they think they could be or can be. It's interesting. where you are when you have your 35-ish to 45-year-old coaches, and I'm because I'm 41, and so I'm kind of using that that age years, kind of what we're about. You see the motivation there. We've been there, we've done that, we've experienced the 20s, the early 30s. We're now in our 40s, where life starts getting a little bit more fun, a little bit easier on you. You've made your money. Your house is halfway paid off, cars are paid off. You don't have that stress. But sometimes what you're seeing with these young kids is that they come in, they're fresh out of college, and all they've been doing for the last 20 years or whatever is playing ball, and so you do have some. Dates where it's a struggle. Where are they sure they're invested as you thought they were when you hired them as a coach? So I could definitely see where sometimes that a parent can see that and be frustrated because of the dollars that we do spend as parents to play this great sport.
So do you think that maybe went into some of this comments that you saw, or do you think where do you see this at?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, I think anything that we do, we could go buy a banana, and if we have one of them that you open up and it's brown, you're going to be disappointed because the outside was green and it shouldn't have been that ripe yet or whatever. That happens, and so as a consumer or things that I'm buying, I want to have value. And if I don't have that value, I think the first thing to do is to complain.
Yeah.
I think as a whole, going back to something you stated earlier, it's not just the coach, it's not just the directors of tournaments or clubs or parents, it's adults in general, I think, that are really ruining what we're doing, because everybody is just, if their son is not this, it's always this person's fault.
Yes.
And I just have this
agree.
huge problem with blaming umpires or blaming coaches or blaming directors or or blaming parents for that matter. What we need to identify is exactly what our kid is. And I think that's one of our very first episodes is we tried to have this conversation. Yes. And if the kid is not working outside of his home, he's not going to, or outside of practice and outside of lessons or whatever he's into, he's not getting better.
That's correct. That's simple as it gets.
Even if he's super talented.
Why do you do homework?
I didn't. That's why I wasn't a good student.
Oh, there you go.
That's why I wasn't a good student.
But there you go, right? You didn't work at math. You didn't. Well,
I was good at math.
Why is he struggling?
Good at math. I'm a business guy.
Why is he struggling with English? Why is he struggling with this? Why is he struggling? Because you're not working at it.
No, not at all. School for me, I'm a smart person. I just did not take my time and use it towards education because it didn't thrill me, I guess. I didn't want to be, I didn't think I needed to do that to play baseball, and boy, was I wrong. And I learned very, very fast. But again, the things that I do now, I'm in business relations every single day. I get better every single day. And so the decisions I made 2 years ago are completely different than now because of what I've learned. Yes, I failed a ton, but I learn every single day. And I take things from the ladies' post on Facebook, and I take the positives out of that, and then I also see the other side of that and how it could just be just humans in general, and we need to get away from that.
Well, we can't sit here. Here's the thing. Sorry. Excuse me. We can't sit here and go, I know what every club does. It isn't there. If you got a problem, and as you said, I think blaming things. We blame this and blame that. Well, that guy, because my son didn't, they're just putting him on and he's sitting on the bench. And this goes to all these conversations, okay? So now we have to sit here and look at this as to club baseball, to independent baseball. We were talking about Slava before we started the show, what they're doing, how they're trying to keep themselves moving and whatnot. American Legion. We've had all these iterations, and everything has transition. When I was in high school, it was American Legion. That was it.
It was it. And rec baseball.
And yeah,
recreational baseball was
when I was growing up, it was Little League. Then you had Babe Ruth, you had Pony. That's what I remember. There wasn't anything. You went to the local park on the night. You had your uniform. You got your snow cone after the game. And it was baseball, and you had the wood bats. I mean, I swung a wood bat when I was playing, little league baseball.
I'm not that old, so we did have aluminum. I'm not sure you're even that old. But
I'm 55.
I'm 41, so
there you go.
14 years.
I don't care.
We
That's
had the Black
that's what I
Magic
am.
Eastons, man.
Yes, that's what I swung in high school.
Yeah,
That was just
minus
coming out.
fives too.
Yeah. We had that. Yeah, it was -3, 33s, 33 30s.
They were -3s then. When I was in high school, we got to swing -5s. Can
Did
you
you really?
imagine with today's technology if we got to swing -5s with how big and strong some of these boys are?
And I remember, when we go this, I'm just going to go down this road, man. I love this.
This is random.
Because we had the American Legion, and we're playing Yates Center. This is Burlington, Kansas. Okay, Yates Center, Iola. And we're traveling around, to these different cities and rivalries and things like that. And it was a lot of fun. You go to the town, man. You might get the ump that's a little biased for the town. Calling a strike at the shoelaces.
Yep.
And you're like, what?
Yeah,
And back then, it's just kind of the thought process. Today, and that was all through. How has it changed? And I remember when my nephews, and just before he started playing ball, when my own son started playing ball, clubs were very, very new in that respect. There was just the gamers, the prospects, and there was a few new ones kind of starting here and there, but that was it. This is a very new situation, and how it's grown over the last 15, 20 years. It's amazing to me to watch this progression from where baseball has been to where we are now. And within every situation, can you imagine the conversations, though, for an American Legion coach who had 60, 70 guys maybe come out? Your kid isn't good enough. But now we can take, and we go to one of these clubs like this. Your son's not good enough for this team. Oh, yes, he is. I'm going to go right here and we'll show you. And this is what I think has propagated some of this. Well, you need to put him on the team anyway. He can do that. But then are we adding the kid for a paycheck? Are we adding this? What is the situation? Is that blame? No, we've created it ourselves, because I believe parents have taken, oh, no, I'm going to take my kid and go over here. I'm going to take my kid and go, I'm going to create my own, and I'm going to make my own club.
The fear of missing out, I guess.
Yeah.
I never really thought I thought the whole FOMO thing was
Is that what that means, FOMO?
Yeah, FOMO, fear of missing out.
I'm not a text guy.
Well, I've learned that, obviously, coaching youth sports now and having high school. I've learned a little bit of the.
I was wondering what
lingo.
I saw that in a text of yours, and I was like, "What the heck is FOMO?"
Fear of missing out. It's an interesting thing because again, Legion, like when you talked about it, when I played Legion ball, we went to Hannibal. We would go to the middle of the state. We would go to the southern part of the state. We'd go into Illinois. We would travel to other states and play in Legion tournaments.
Yeah.
And they were the best. And again, like I played for Thurman Booth, which drew from like Rittner High School, Hazelwood West, and Normandy. And then our rival was right down the street in Pattonville and Maryland Heights. And they drew from some of Creve Coeur. And so, 6 miles away, but man, was it a rivalry. It was just like Pattonville and Rittner's rivalry. And so when we drew from 4 or 5 schools, you drew, let's say, 10 kids from those schools. Like you said, 50, 60 kids showing up at tryouts. And I can promise you, kids were cut that were very good. But what they did is they went and played recreational baseball. And they would play their 25 games a summer or whatever it was, and they would compete there, and then they would make their high school teams. They would try out again for Legion. And it happened every single year. And some kids didn't make it for 2 years, but end up making it their varsity junior and senior years because they got better, more mature, whatever. It meant something. Now I feel like it doesn't mean as much if you make just a program unless you make a certain level team. And we don't look at that even. Like if and I'm a small program, so I am I have no idea how these things are ran in other organizations, but
and I'm not trying to sit and point fingers at this is just a conversation.
I'll use
right?
Gators or Midland for that matter. They have their top teams, and then they have some teams underneath. Those kids got cut from the top team because they weren't good enough. Now, but that doesn't mean that they're not good enough to play that level or the next level below. They're just not good enough to make that top team, and that's fine. To me, that's fine.
But that's the problem. I don't think we're fine with that anymore.
Which is, I think, why we have these conversations, because we want to know the why. And it goes back to, again, what are these kids doing outside of their times when they're with their coaches or their teammates? You don't see kids out playing in the street, and I'm not saying go play in the street because of dangers. We don't have the homes. The subdivisions are right on top of each other and they're packed with cars. So I understand, but there's a park everywhere. There's a baseball field everywhere. Yeah. And if you have enough kids, why aren't we playing with a 12-year-old kid with a 16-year-old kid, and they're going out trying to play the game of baseball, and that 12-year-old kid's trying to beat the 16-year-old kids? I used to play fuzzball in my neighborhood. We used to a guy had up the street. I'm 13, 14 years old playing with kids that graduated high school.
Yeah.
And I would go and try to compete as hard as I could to beat them. They threw harder than me, whatever, but I tried to hit the ball just like they did. I tried to throw the ball just as hard as they did, and it worked. My dad also played catch with me outside. And we just don't do that. Even baseball guys, like guys that I went to high school with that were very good, still can't get their kids to go outside and play catch with them. But they also understand what it takes, so they say, okay, well, this is your level of play. If you want to get better, you need to go outside.
It wasn't that long ago. My brother-in-law, Guy Weary, he was with the Baldwin organization, Baldwin Legion, and he still is. He's still part of that. And they've always had a good tradition over in Baldwin.
Oh, yeah.
My nephews played Baldwin. Scott Van Slyke was on that Baldwin team. It's okay. So, see, and I understand going down to PBR, and I understand the perfect game and what those things are at this day and age. I'm not poo-pooing anything. That's not my point. My point is this. He took a group of kids. It's, I don't know, 5, 6, maybe 7 years ago. It's been a little bit now. It was the 16U, I believe. It wasn't the top. 16U. They ran the gambit. Ended up at Emporia in the American Legion World Series, won the thing. I don't care who you are, what you say. And this is where people go, that's a good group of baseball players. You go and put yourself in a national arena at any level that way, you're going to find good baseball. And to win something like that, you better be a good baseball team. You
have to be, because there's still small town talent. Like the thing about Legion is it's not expensive either.
No, it's not.
And if we are as parents, and Slava's not really that expensive either. And if we're looking at these things, why wouldn't we want to be a part of something that might only cost $300, $400, $500?
Right.
Plus your travel expenses if you're lucky enough to get to travel. But we spend thousands of dollars, and I am part of this. I am 100% a part of the fun, the glory of it, and then the backside, the dark side of this club sports. But I hate being told that I'm in it for the money, because I made more money as a collection agent for second mortgages at City than I do right now.
Yeah.
And it's not about that. It is about that I want to make kids better. But I also don't want little Jimmy, who is not going to put in the time.
And I think that's the key, though, what you're saying there. I think most of the clubs are that way. I believe that. I really do. I think they're in it because, if you're going to say, though, that do you want this facility? Well, this is what it costs, and so we have to look at that. And this is where youth sports is at this point. So you have to make that decision. There are other places, and as parents, don't start hollering out, in my opinion, at these clubs saying, "Well, you just put him on there because it's a paycheck." Don't do that. Don't blame that. You could take your kid. There are still plenty of independent. There are plenty. Go play recreational baseball. There are these other places to play, and as your child gets older, there is SLABA, there is American Legion, there are places. Let's stop blaming and start looking at where our child is and start making better decisions on our own. That's my opinion.
I think that is one of the most honest opinions too, because I feel the same exact way that you do on this topic. That post did not trigger me in a way that
I wasn't mad at her.
Yeah, I was not, because at the end of the day, I think us as clubs have probably given parents that perception, because at the end of the day, that's really what it is their perception of their product that they just experienced. And I do get it.
Do some research.
That's why tryouts are tough. To be honest with you, I mean, you're a coach is trying to sell you on the program, the director's trying to sell you on the program and what they're representing. And then if you walk in there and you're expecting one thing and you don't get it, it does have impact.
Here's the thing, and we want to finish up because we're running a little bit. We want to keep this within a certain time frame. But here's another opinion, just my opinion. Take it for what it's worth. It's a couple of dimes, maybe a nickel. All right? Okay.
That's 25 cents.
Exactly, because inflation. You know, you can't say here 2 cents worth. Inflation, it's got to be at least a quarter.
See, I told you I was good at math.
Okay, so here we go. If you really want to see where your child stacks up in tryouts, go to every tryout known we got around here. Go to some of these clubs. Go to a Prospects one. Go to a Naturals one. Go to a Gators one. Go to a Tribe one. Go to Premier Club. Go take your son around. And as they go through the tryout, take the time to talk to the evaluator that's there and say, would you please, I'm bringing my son, I want an honest evaluation. And take all that and make an assessment. Where do I want my child to go and how is he going to improve? Did I talk to the club? Did I talk to the people and see what I felt was the best fit for my child as far as what their vision for these things are and whatnot and where he fits? If you're going to go that route, I think that is the way you would make any investment if you're going to make an investment in your child.
It's happening right now. I mean, I have some kids that I'm still waiting on that they're still going to tryouts because the parents said they want to do due diligence.
I don't think there's anything wrong with that.
It's stressful.
It is because you're the club, okay, but that's the parents' prerogative.
That's what they have the ability to do so. And at the end of the day, I simply say, you make the choices you need to make. I am going to continue to fill my roster until it's full. I'm not going to wait.
And that's your prerogative, and they know that, and that's an understanding. So as it comes out, that's just the way it is. This is part of the process, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that at this level because this is what we've created. Yeah, so we can't sit around and go, well, you can't do that. No, we created this system.
We did, yeah. And I think that maybe it seems like it's more geared towards that high school level or maybe 12, 13, that 7th, 8th grade levels. You start to really kind of see that because it's where, you start getting into your batting your rosters all the time or you're getting into your PO positions, specifics and you're singling out maybe one sport as opposed to playing multiple sports. So things kind of change. And I don't know if it's geared towards more high school or not, but you just brought up a good point. Go to every single organization and find out. And if you really want to challenge your athlete, go take them to PBR events. And go see where they stack up amongst the best in your town as the top 150 kids and see what you can do. And then either you get embarrassed or you really figure out what you are.
Because to that point, what you're saying there is those measurables don't lie. You'll see how athletic your child is or not.
But why aren't they taking them now? They don't want that information.
So there you go. And this and certain
and I'm not trying to be mean.
No,
I really not.
No,
it's just baseball. Not everybody should play.
We hope
level.
We hope that we want you to pay attention to what we're saying, not because we think we're the smart. This is just our observations. I've been around youth baseball since 2003 and been in it as an umpire, as a coach, clubs, youth baseball Midwest, tournaments. You've been in it. You played it. I played baseball. We all have been. So these are just observations. You can turn it off. You can go, that guy's a crackpot. That's fine. But these are just some observations. We hope that you take this and we can come to a conclusion about something. But just to say, oh, we blame that guy. No, stop that. This is where we're at. This is what we've created. So how do we deal with what we've created around us in a fashion that we're not blaming the parents, we're not blaming the clubs, we're not blaming the tournaments. It's their fault. It's their fault. No, we need to just look at the situation as it is.
As it is.
That
should be that easy. Should be that easy.
There we go, folks. That's what we got for you there. Hope you enjoyed it. If you do, please hit the subscribe button. Hit that dinger because that's what we do around here, right?
We do.
It's not just dingers, but doubles and dingers.
Doubles and dingers.
Double D's, baby.
That's
go.
that slugging percentage.
I love that. Slugging, OPS.
Yeah, well, it's not doing great for the Cardinals.
We won't talk about it.
Can we talk OBP then? Let's talk on base percentage.
That John Lester signing, whew, that was a humdinger.
That's a whole nother conversation because I actually think he did well last night, except obviously the first inning giving up 5 runs is a nightmare. But he had made some really good pitches and very easily could have given up 1 or 2 runs that inning. But he got squeezed. Did you get a chance to watch?
No, I didn't. I did not.
Man, Max Fried was getting some. Well, whatever. I don't want to pick on umpires. He's a professional, but he's got to do what he's got to do. You know what?
Hit the dinger.
Hit the dinger. We'll
Hit
talk
the
about
dinger.
this after the
Hit
show.
the dinger.
Or a double.
Leave us a comment. Leave us a comment. We'd love to hear from what you have to say. Hey, everybody have a great day in the Lord, and all you pitchers, keep throwing strikes, and you hitters, hit them where they ain't. We'll see you next time.